Dude, that thing is massive.
It is a very big mine.
Oh god. Goodness gracious.
Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. First, today we're going to have a look at naval forces, something I haven't actually covered yet, but more specifically the VS-8 and the mines that guides have introduced for testing in the 24-hour test drive you can unlock for the premium VS-8. So there's a lot of well-deserved negativity around the VS-8 and the mines at the moment, as the mines I don't think are very well introduced. They don't really function very well at all at the moment, and the ship that comes equipped with them is quite, not very easy to use and not really a great test bed for the mines themselves. There's a lot it can't really do that it probably should have to do in order to actually create a good testing environment for the mines. So I'm going to split this up into two segments. First, it's going to be talking about how the mines work, a couple of things you might not have noticed yourself in playing them, while the second segment is going to be a little mini review on the VS-8 itself, just talking about its abilities, if it's actually going to be worth your money when it does come on the store. So without further ado, I will get into the first segment on the mines. So, the mines themselves, well, they're actually very, very powerful. If they come into contact with any ship in the game, even the light cruisers, it will blow up. There's no question about it. But the one thing I think no one's really touched on, and actually is, in my experience, the most efficient tactic for using mines at the moment, is shooting them. If you shoot a mine, it will explode, and it needs to be relatively close to a ship, not even as close as you might think. So a good tactic I found with using mines is putting them around a corner, not in the direct path of a ship, but probably just on the corner of a rock. And when a ship's actually coming round a corner, if you shoot at the mine, it will almost certainly blow the ship up. And it's something that I haven't really seen anyone cover yet as a legitimate tactic, as it's been way more effective, at least in my experience, than laying the mines and getting a ship to just run into them, as the mines that we have, as an example, on the VS-8 aren't magnetic, so they actually need a ship to come into direct contact with them to explode. This way, it actually can do a fair bit of damage. It also works for planes as well. I'm not actually sure how useful that's going to be in the long run, actually setting up that engagement, but they can destroy planes as well, flying low over the sea if you do shoot one of the mines. You also have the option of setting the distance on the mines. Now this can be from I assume the integer is feet and not meters, so 1 to 10 feet below the surface. So if it's the first setting, it will be on the top of the water, so enemy ships can see it and shoot them and blow them up. But if I think it's about 3 or 4 meters, the mine will actually disappear below the surface and you can't see it unless you're basically right on top of it. Even at this depth, it can still destroy cruisers and destroyers, things like that do sink quite low into the water, but certain lighter ships will just glace right over them and they won't get taken out by the mines. You also can't shoot the mines if they're underwater as well. Additionally to this, planes can destroy them, they can strafe them and blow them up, and they currently last for 4 minutes before actually exploding. It was initially 2 minutes, and that was quite, I don't really think a great decision, but it's now 4 minutes, and even so, really, that's not really enough, I don't think. As shown by the VS-8, the ship that we've actually got to test these on, they need to last for a long enough time to actually be used, as these mines are generally going to be laid quite passively, so not on the enemy side of the map where people are going to be respawning and coming out of choke points and such. They're going to be around islands and in the your part of the map defensively, as you're probably not going to be able to beat anyone to those locations with the mines to lay them. So they're going to have to be, I think they work as a defensive weapon in that, if your team's losing, you have an advantage in that you've got mines all over the place. But even with 4 minutes, for some of the larger ships like destroyers, cruisers, those sorts of things, they're not even going to get close by the time the mines actually detonate automatically. Just to mention though, the mines detonating, I have actually got a few kills by them detonating automatically, so that's been fun, but again, not really beneficial to how they function, I think. So I think the best thing to really do with them is, first of all, I don't really think they should receive a timer. Maybe if one has to be used, just in case, if it's a server issue or whatever, maybe 10 minutes would probably be fine, but I think the best way to really introduce them is, obviously I don't think this is necessarily realistic, but I don't really think it's realistic that they explode either. But I don't know much about mines. What I think they should probably do is allow them to last infinitely. But if they are placed below the surface, they should slowly, minute by minute, start floating up to the surface where they're visible. So, someone's not laying loads and loads of mines, there's actually no way to counter them because they last forever. So, say, there's a circle of mines around a cap point, there's no way to actually get to them because they're sunk below the surface, that kind of thing. So if they slowly rise up, I think that would probably be a decent enough compromise, as they're quite easy to spot, especially on the lower graphic settings. They can really easily be distinguished from the surface of the water. So they can be destroyed easily by any sort of munition fire, and I don't think they would be overpowered in that regard if they do last forever. Because, if someone's looking out for them and they're on the surface, sure, you can easily knock them out, that's no problem. But currently, to actually get them in a position where they're going to last long enough, even in the 4 minutes, most notably with a ship like the VS-8, they're going to, you're probably going to die in the process of laying the mines, and even then, it's not going to be in a position that's really that beneficial, because you're not fast enough to get to a position where the mines are going to be useful before the enemy team gets there and knocks you out. But the mines themselves are, they're a defensive weapon, and the way the maps work at the moment, they only really allow for the mines to be used offensively, because there's no way to actually get to, a place where they can be used in the time limit, and it is ultimately a map problem, I think. And there's no way to really change that, and obviously Gaijin aren't going to make maps explicitly for, so mines can be used. So the only really thing they can do is alter how the mines work, and I think the best way, at least from talking to a few people, and in my perspective, give them, make them last forever, but make them float up right to the surface after a certain amount of time, so they can be countered and they aren't completely locking off bits of the map. So, if a player's being smart and they're actually looking for mines, especially in some of the larger ships, they can quite easily notice them and take them out. Especially as well as there is an icon that pops up, a little kind of spiked ball, well, a spiked ball, a mine icon that pops up above the mine when you get close enough. Granted, it's usually, by the time you see the icon, it's usually at a point where it's too late, but that's even there, it's even that easy, and that's again when the mines are completely submerged as well. So I think they should probably be given a little bit of a crutch in that they are infinite and they do last forever, and I think that's probably the best direction to go with the mines at the moment. So a little mini review now on the VS-8. Obviously, I want to start this off by saying that I am in no way the best ship player in the world. I've put enough time into it to be relatively decent and know like where to go, what to do, how to play the matches. But I am in no way, brilliant at it yet. Hopefully, will be one day, but right now, not so much. So pinch of salt with everything I'm saying right now. But the ship itself, it's not that great, at least for 3.0, I think. As I think the BR currently was based on the mines being, really good, really powerful, and that's why it's at 3.0. I don't think it deserves 3.0. I think probably 2.0 to 2.7 will probably be more adequate for it, as the offensive armament of the 4 15mm aren't really adequate enough, because at that tier you're going to start seeing, armoured riverboats and, the LCSs, things like that, and it's not really adequate enough, as with something like a contemporary, which has roughly, give or take, the same armament in the VS-10. Obviously that has more guns, but that has the torpedoes, which can be used offensively, whereas the VS-8's mines can't really be used offensively and only defensively, so there's not really much it can do against those ships. So I think it does deserve a BR reduction first off. Secondly, it's a hydrofoil, obviously, which makes it quite easy to knock out. It's a very big target. It's quite hard to actually miss, and it actually is deceptively large. Actually, it's a very easy ship to knock out. And from what I've found, actually, probably one of the biggest detriments to the ship itself and being a mine layer is that it is a hydrofoil. So the parts of the map that could be considered choke points, quite good for mines, those areas of the map are too shallow for the VS-8 to actually enter, because the actual hydrofoil is going to get stuck on the shallow terrain underneath the sea. So it can't actually do its job properly, and it makes me think that this probably wasn't the best ship to test mines with, as you're going to want something, I guess, that can get into those places and actually put the mines in a choke point. as all the VS-8 can really do is put them around cap points, and cap points being what they are, it's going to be in the middle of the map where it's contested, there's not really a lot you can do, and you're likely not going to get many kills with the mines, or it's going to be on your home cap point, which, you know, the mines are going to blow up before you can actually get there. So as it stands, I don't really think the VS-8 is a good product, a good premium, as the majority of its capabilities are defensive and they don't work very well at the moment. The offensive capabilities just aren't really enough to be adequate for probably like an average player. I imagine someone really good at naval forces can make this thing work amazingly, but that's not what this segment's really for. So when this comes out, unless they make a change to the battle rating or a change to the mines, I don't think this is really going to be worth your money currently, just as it's not going to be a good enough grinder, in my opinion, as it's definitely going to be map dependent, and, you know, as I've always been saying, for a premium, you want something that's going to function basically well and the same on every map, and this is something that this premium can't do. So, you know, unless the BR is lowered or the mines are significantly changed, I probably wouldn't, you know, hold your breath on getting this one. So there we are, guys. I know it's a pretty quick video and very, very rambly. I need to get back into the mindset of making content, as it has been a fair while since I've really done anything quite like this. I spent way too long on the last video. So yeah, thank you for bearing with. I hope you enjoyed this little dive into naval forces, as I think it's something that everyone should, you know, give it a chance. I've actually been having a really good time with it, as it's just not really very stressful. You know, with tanks and stuff, you need to be looking everywhere, you know, all that kind of stuff, and it is kind of a more stressful game mode. But with ships, it's not. It's a bit more leisurely, and I think that's why myself and some friends have definitely been having a pretty good time with it. And I think, you know, if you're on the fence about trying it, or you think it just looks really terrible, give it a go, because once you work out the aiming and how to actually knock ships out, it can be really, really enjoyable, and I think it's, you know, it's well worth your time. So I will stop rambling as much as I already have, which I think it's been terrible. I'm very, very not good, extremely very not good at being concise with my points, so, you know, apologies for that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this quite short video today, and I hope it has helped in some way as well. So yeah, thank you guys very, very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.